Hi, you're listening to Recommendations from My Otaku Spouse. I'm Jen.
And I'm Wesley.
So let's get started. In this episode, we're actually discussing a Western live-action TV series.
Are we?
You do this every time. Every time. You know what we're talking about.
It's my bit.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The fans demand it.
We don't have any fans.
The fans demand it.
So we're discussing the Wheel of Time TV series, which I forced Wes to watch, even though I've never read the books.
The arrogance.
It's because I've never read the books that I wanted to watch the TV series. And clearly that was the wrong decision.
So, hold up. We hadn't discussed the show at all. Like, no discussion between the two of us regarding this show before we watched it.
Oh, before we watched it, yeah.
And then I roll up into the kitchen one night, and I go, "Hey, Jen, I've heard some things about that upcoming Wheel of Time show. I don't really know if I want to watch it." And at which point you said,
I want to watch it.
But I was so interested.
I was interested because I never read the books before, and I figured if I could know the story by watching the TV show, then I wouldn't have to read through like a 1,000-page book.
Oh, so how'd that work out for you? Do you know the story now?
Well, now I need to go read the novels. So this is going to be another bit of a ranty episode.
Well, we'll keep it. There's going to be some ranting. Sorry, I can't say that with a straight face.
There's going to be a bit of a ranty episode. If you liked the series and you think we're wrong, then feel free to turn off and go do something else.
Go watch season 2.
But we did not enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it as a TV series, and Wes did not enjoy it as a TV series or an adaptation.
Yes. That is a fair way to put it.
Yes. So we're going to have, first of all, with me ranting a little bit about why it was not a very good TV show, and Wes ranting a little bit afterwards about why it was not a very good adaptation.
Yes.
I think I managed to get most of it out of his system before we started recording, because we had many, many hours of discussion about the show.
So, the show's an Amazon Prime TV show.
Yes.
And I don't actually know if there's any other Amazon Prime shows we've watched. But, that aside, for this one, they dropped 3 episodes and then did a weekly release for each one.
Yes.
We watched the first 3, not relatively quickly.
Yes, we did.
But by the time we got to the end of episode 5, which was well after episode 5 has originally aired, we realized that our time between episodes
was incredibly long.
Was increasing with each episode.
Plus, the rants were keeping me up when I needed to sleep.
That's my fault.
No, it's cool. But then I ended up going through and reading a synopsis and then flicking through the end of the series in order to save some time. So yeah, I'm counting it as I watched the whole thing, although people who probably enjoyed the show will be like, "You didn't watch the whole thing, it doesn't count."
Saving your sanity is always a worthy endeavor.
That's why I don't touch the source. Oh wait, I'm a woman, so I'm fine.
Bitch.
So, shall we jump into it?
Yes.
Okay. So
I'm going to jump into this like a raging river to prove I'm a woman.
You go.
And by that I mean you're going to have to push me because I didn't want to watch this in the first place.
Wow, it's kind of prophetic.
Pathetic.
Prophetic. It's like, we are part of the wheel. We are weaves in the pattern of... Anyway. So
the wheel's always turning, like Robert Jordan in his grave after they made this show.
Oh! Oh, snap.
Sorry, I couldn't help it.
Wow. I'm going to have to flag this as 18 plus.
Right, let's continue on.
Okay.
I'll try to be better.
Are you good?
I'm trying.
You're trying?
I'm trying.
Okay. So we get to the end of the first episode, and I turn to Wes and I say, "Wait, I'm confused." And Wes goes, "Wait, what are you confused about?" And I said, "Well, I thought they were going to kill the dragon. I thought the dragon was the dark one and the bad guy." And you're like, "What? Where did you get that from?" Like, well, Moiraine said it. When? And we went back to the beginning of the episode and yep, that's what Moiraine said. And that's what the entire first episode was telling me until Moiraine said at the end, the dragon is going to save the world. So I'm going to read you what Moiraine says, which is what made me incredibly confused right from the start. The world is broken. Many, many years ago, men who were born with great power believed they could cage darkness itself. The arrogance.
The arrogance.
Which in my mind was, okay, men try to wield the power of darkness, you know. Like Harry Potter, power of dark is evil. Nobody clearly learned Defense Against the Dark Arts in this series. And when they failed, the seas boiled, mountains were swallowed up, cities burned, and the women of the Aes Sedai were left to pick up the pieces. Because, men, geez, seriously?
I mean, honestly, men is practically the tagline of the show.
Yeah, it is, yeah. These women remember one thing above all else, the man who brought the breaking of the world, and him they named Dragon.
So you know what's really funny about that? To give a slight spoiler.
What?
For what's coming up later. When they do the flashback to 3,000 years ago, they don't even call him the dragon. They call him the Dragon Reborn.
They do call him the Dragon Reborn, yeah.
So is he the dragon or is he the Dragon Reborn?
That's true. And the speech at the beginning, it implies that the Aes Sedai named him Dragon after he tried to wield the power of darkness and he broke the world because of it.
Because of the arrogance.
Because of the arrogance.
Yes.
And the fact that he tried to use dark magic and he broke the world. And then they named him Dragon.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, so there's a guy who used evil powers and then he broke the world. Because, man.
There was power, but it wasn't enough. He had to go cage the Dark One.
No. It didn't mention the Dark One.
Doesn't it there?
No.
Cage
men
darkness
who were
itself,
born with
right.
great power believed they could cage darkness itself. Which in my mind thinks, okay, so he tried to cage dark magic. He tried to use dark magic. In my mind, that's what's happening.
Fair enough.
Is the dragon is a dark mage. And then at the end, she says, the Dark One is waking, but there will be one who can stand against him. The dragon has been born again, and it's one of you. I'm like, wait, but at the beginning...
that's what she says at the very end of the episode.
That's what she said at the end. And I was like, but at the beginning, you said that the dragon was the Dark One, but now the Dark One and the dragon are two separate people?
Well, at the beginning, I guess they never mentioned the Dark One.
They never mentioned
just
the
say
Dark
that the
One.
dragon fucked everything up with the darkness.
Yeah, they don't really mention the Dark One that much at all in the first episode.
See, I was thinking you might like Moiraine because of this, because you really hate the band called The Darkness.
I do, yes.
I'm getting off the subject.
Yes, you are.
But, yeah. So
that's why I was like, I'm really confused.
This isn't helped at all by the second scene of the show.
No.
Where they show a bunch of
Mages.
Bunch of Moiraine's buddies.
Lady mages. On horses.
Chasing down a dude.
Well, chasing down two dudes.
And then they go up to one and they go, filthy male, you corrupt the power when you touch it. And then they kill him off screen.
Yes. You hear him screaming and Moiraine's standing on top of a cliff.
Yeah.
She's going, guess it wasn't him then.
Yeah, they pan up to Moiraine and they kill him off screen.
Yeah.
Now, at this point, everyone who's in the know is going, they didn't kill him, they gentled him. But if you know nothing about the Wheel of Time...
Which I knew nothing about, I thought they killed him.
They killed him because it goes off screen and
you hear him screaming.
And it pans up to Moiraine and she goes...
Guess that wasn't him then.
That wasn't the Dragon Reborn.
Yeah.
We have to keep looking. So in a way, from a viewer perspective, she's condoning the action that they just did of killing a man.
Yes.
So which feeds into the whole, we're going to find the dragon to kill him.
Yes. 100%. That's why I thought she went to the Two Rivers.
Yeah.
Well, I'm still confused about why she went to the Two Rivers.
They heard rumors of Taviran.
I don't know what that is.
That's fine. They never explain it.
No, I don't know what Taviran is.
They never explain it.
They were just like, we got full. Yeah, no, that was another thing. It's like, why is she there? Why is she stalking these kids? Or who are, I guess, adults?
They never explain it.
No.
No, they do in the book. They give this whole thing quite a bit more explanation. But I'm not onto my book part yet. We're looking at this as a failure of a TV show first.
Yes.
And can I give you one of my biggest failures of this as a TV show?
What's that?
In order to court the book readers, I feel, they keep just dropping in little bits from the book here and there without worrying about whether or not it makes sense in any way. So they have her go, there's 4 Taviran in the Two Rivers, but then they never explain it.
No, I'm like, what is?
And most book readers who
Okay.
see that go, that's a stupid rumor to hear. Because most people don't know what a Taviran is. And how are you going to recognize that there is one? And if you do recognize that there is one, how do you recognize that there's 4? Like, this is getting into the whole bad adaptation part, but just, they put the line in there to be like, see, book readers, we know the book, we know what's going on, wink, 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 but then they never explain it later, and it's a stupid statement from the first place.
Actually, that's the point. If they, I don't know what Taviran was. Actually, no, wait, I don't know what Taviran was.
Yeah.
And so she just heard you rumors about this thing, but if I did know what Taviran was from reading the books, then how did someone know that they were Taviran?
Yeah.
How did someone then go off and spread these rumors?
That's also a problem.
Yeah.
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 So she goes off, and then she's brooding around the village going, ugh, kids.
Kids are horrible anyway. I completely, that is one thing I can agree with, right?
Well, actually, I like the boys.
You know the problem with kids?
What?
Nobody decides to oil the swing sets around our house, and we hear them all the time.
That's true.
But
shut up.
No, but so one of the issues, though, also is that you're saying that as a show watcher only, you're sure that Moiraine and her band of mages.
Yeah, Moiraine and her samurai buddy are going to go kill.
But then
going to find the dragon and kill him.
There's the red ones as well.
Yes, but they didn't go with them to the village.
True, but evidently they seem to be the more hands-on hit squad at this point.
That's true, yeah. Yeah.
As a book reader, in this episode and then at the start of episode 2, I made 2 cracks. When she was first talking, because of the ridiculousness of her little opening monologue that fits nothing from the lore, I made some crack about how, you can't trust what a witch has to say. And then at the opening of episode 2, when the White Cloaks show up, I go, here's the heroes of our picture. And you turned to me and you said, if you say things like that, I haven't read the books and I'm going to take it seriously.
Yes, I did.
And so I made a concerted effort to not make comments like that anymore while watching it, because to me, I'm going,
these are the heroes, and then that's going to make, okay, these guys are the heroes then.
Which the White Cloaks definitely are not the heroes. But
well, are they not?
The White Cloaks are right.
But they're not the heroes.
But so that was the issue, though, is that from a book reader perspective, I'm going, we've had 2 Aes Sedai speak thus far. Moiraine in her intro, and then Evil Red One as she ganked a guy.
Mm.
And everything they've spun has been bullshit from a book perspective. So I'm going, you can never trust an Aes Sedai. But as a viewer, you don't have any of that.
They are the heroes of the story, so I have to trust everything they say.
They are your window into this world.
Yeah. And
so if they're immediately spinning bullshit, that doesn't help you.
Whereas they weave bullshit. They weave.
Right, sorry.
Carry on.
Well, you have to spin it into
yarn, and then they weave.
Yeah. It's just, but that's the problem, right? Is that they're dropping information that as a view, it's the first thing you know about this world.
Is the dragon is a bad guy, and they're gonna go kill him.
And they, for all the right reasons, because men go crazy and taint the source.
Yes.
That's what Reddy says in scene 2.
Yes.
It's a mess.
But that's just episode 1.
But
actually, I guess we didn't even cover everything in episode 1, but we probably shouldn't do a whole summary of every single episode and everything that's wrong with it.
I did a little look online to see what communities were saying about the show.
Okay.
And one of the things that people kept saying in response to things like that is that, they're unreliable narrators.
How do we know that, though?
Well, you don't know that. And
I don't know that.
The problem that really got to me about that is that episode 1 starts in media res and all that, and, you got people going off on adventures and hunting down men and random bullshit, and you don't get an intro.
No.
The first time you see the intro is in episode 2.
Oh, right, yes.
And the intro that you see
is video.
The intro video, yeah. The OP in anime terms. And the intro shows a bunch of weaving happening, because that's threads and all. They never take time to talk about the wheel weaving, the threads of time and all that. And I don't think they bother to deal with any of that.
I guess,
but they put it into the intro because it looks pretty.
Yeah, Randstad kind of explains the wheel.
A little bit,
so we have the wheel.
Yeah.
And we know weaving is a thing to do with magic. And then the intro is like, ooh, pretty thread.
Yeah,
making
but the threads making the tapestry and the threads that they weave for magic are 2 entirely different things.
Oh, wait, really?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Sorry.
What?
Yeah.
Spoilers.
It doesn't matter. I
They
don't
didn't
think
explain
they're
it.
they didn't explain it in the
No.
show. It doesn't really matter. But so my issue though is that they have it weaving this big tapestry and they put the orchestral music over it because exactly you gotta get your Game of Thrones thing right. But the picture that it pulls back to reveal it's been weaved are a bunch of Aes Sedai
in a
made
circle.
to look like Catholic saints.
Yeah, because they're the good guys.
Because they're the good guys.
Yeah.
So everything is reinforcing this. The Aes Sedai are good. They're perfect. They're pure. They're holy. They're everything. Like they're literally sanctified in the opening.
Yeah.
And so when people are saying, well, they're unreliable narrators, you can't trust what you say, the entire show is trying to say the opposite.
Yes.
I mean, when you finally start learning about what an Aes Sedai is, Moiraine says, rule number 1, we cannot lie.
Mm-hmm. Which makes me think, oh, they're, good guys, because it's a good thing to not lie. And they cannot kill.
We can't
Which is
kill,
good.
we can't, unless in self-defense, we can't lie. So everything the show is saying is you need to trust everything they're saying. And then people are defending it by saying, oh, no, there's unreliable narrators.
Well, you also especially have to trust Moiraine because she's the main character.
Because she's the main character, yes.
Yes. What's the Wheel of Time supposed to be about? Because this is the Moiraine show. Oh, wait, it's the Moiraine and the Egwene show, because episode 1 was all about how amazing Egwene is.
Episode 1 was all about Egwene.
Yeah. And
Episode 1 through 8 were all about Egwene.
No, not episode 8 or 7. I think 1 to 5 was mostly focused on Egwene. Because it was the Egwene show.
Yes.
Egwene and Moiraine show. And then Moiraine was on screen for most of the time.
After that.
Yeah.
Sorry. So, you think that they're there to kill the dragon, and then at the end of episode 1, she goes, I'm here to protect you, because one of you is the dragon.
Yes.
So, there's the twist. They subverted your expectations.
Well, I wouldn't call it subverted, I'd just say confused, but I guess.
Subverted your... It's the modern storytelling. It's what everyone has to do. It's why Star Wars Episode 8 was so beloved. They took your expectations and they expertly subverted them. It's the modern storytelling. No more mystery boxes, although we have that too, because who is the dragon? But we're also subverting expectations.
Well, the dragon was obviously going to be Egwene right from the start, because she's
Perfect.
the one that's on screen all the time, and everybody talks about her when she's not on screen.
That makes her Poochie, not the dragon.
She's the Poochie reborn. So yeah, so the dragon reborn, one of it's you, we need to go on a big adventure. And then they go off on a big adventure and Moiraine explains jack shit to any of them. To none of them. Every time they ask a question, she's like, she probably gives about 2-sentence answer, or Lan does, and then they get interrupted by something. Like they're traveling for hours on end, and as soon as somebody asks a question, something happens.
Whoa. She did give a giant exposition dump about an old city that was destroyed.
And then she fainted.
No, that was before she fainted.
No, the expedition, and then she fainted.
No, I'm saying, but not that old city. The first old city she talks. She talks about the first old city when they're riding away, and they kind of look around and they're like, you know what this needs right now? A nice sad song. And so all the kids sing the sad song, and then she gives a big exposition dump about a dead city that she doesn't really tie well in. But it happened in the book, so you had to put it in the show.
Oh wait, yeah, I completely forgot about that. What was that supposed to be important to the story?
Nah, not in the show.
Okay,
but. Then, yes, you're right. Then after she gives the second exposition dump about the other dead city, then she faints.
Wait, because that's in the same episode. They do the song and then they go to the dead city.
Yes.
I thought that was the city she was referring to.
And no, sorry. There's 2 different dead cities.
What?
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
No, I actually thought that was supposed to be the dead city they were singing about.
No. They sang about the dead city that would then... Yeah, that was a different dead city.
Okay.
That was So there's...
See, episode 2 is also confusing.
They called it episode 2 because it's about the 2 cities. Kind of like the 2 towers, but it's the 2 cities. That's not why they call it that. But no.
Don't tell me these things. I will believe you.
I know, that's the problem.
I'm gullible.
No, not like the show's explaining anything. But no, yeah, they sing a song about a dead city, but that was a good dead city. That one was full of light and hope, and...
Then it died.
It eventually got overrun by Trollocs and everyone died.
Oh, right, because then... No, you're right, because she was talking about how then that became the 2 rivers because everybody banded together and something magical happened. No,
that was in Kanto.
Oh, okay.
No. If by something magical happened, you mean the queen took in too much power and wiped out the invading hordes, leaving nothing but the bare remains of her army that hadn't been killed. Yes, that was something magical.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, that's not. That was the first dead city.
She was given a miracle.
Yes. And then there was a second dead city, which they turned into a, thinly veiled Trump allegory.
I completely missed that.
If I remember right from the book, they don't build a giant wall around the city.
Oh, okay. Well, they need something to keep the Trollocs out because the Trollocs can't go into the city. So that's the thing. Was there's a big group of Trollocs chasing them, which is why they need to hurry. Need to hurry. And then Moiraine is like horribly sick because she's been stabbed by a poisonous something. And so Lana's like, I know, let's go into this city that she told me not to go into. The Trollocs won't follow us in there. And so they run into the city and the Trollocs stay outside. And at the end of the episode, everybody manages to leave the city and then the Trollocs are nowhere. If I was the Trollocs, I would have put a perimeter around the city for whenever they would come out, because either the city's going to kill them or they're going to escape. And because the Dark One knows that they're important, he should know that they're going to escape.
Because plot armor. Yes. And
so why were the Trollocs not waiting for them when they got out? Like, why were they not patrols? And then they weren't followed again afterwards.
And they don't actually explain this in the show, as we've already touched on. But the word Taviran is Old Tongue for plot armor.
Oh, really?
Not literally, like someone's going to get at my gut for saying that.
It's an interpretation. You can't translate Taviran into English because...
I'm localizing it.
Yeah. Filthy localizer.
Yes. Yeah. I'm localizing the word Taviran. It means plot armor.
Okay.
Or it's main character syndrome. Kind of a mixture of both, because you can't be main character without plot armor.
Yeah.
Which is why, to draw this in full circle, because we made a riff about Wheel of Time earlier, it's why Ned Stark gets his head cut off.
Wait, what?
George R.R. Martin wrote Wheel of Time kind of in response to old school fantasy like Wheel of Time. And he's like, well, no one ever dies in Wheel of Time. So he takes his main character and cuts his head off at the end of the first book. / end of the first season.
So he's like, ha.
I subverted your expectation. Oh, Jesus. No, so, yes. So they go into a walled city. Mm-hmm. Because the city built a wall around themselves and then fell into suspicion and greed, and everyone died.
And darkness literally consumed everybody.
Yes, because, again, thinly veiled Trump allegory.
I still don't... Okay, but carry on.
It's the whole Trump wanted to build a wall.
Yes. A lot of people want to build walls.
Yeah.
I mean, the Brits would, but we already have a moat.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Well, you just built a paper wall with Brexit.
Yes.
Anyway. And remember, if you build a wall between North Ireland and Ireland, you're going to start the Troubles again. So don't do that.
Don't do that, no.
Nobody wants the Troubles.
No. So really, you should dig a moat.
Yes, another moat.
Another moat.
No, but so what I'm getting to here is your issue with the Trollocs.
Yes.
The magically disappearing Trollocs.
Yes, like literally an army of hundreds of Trollocs, which we saw gallivanting down the mountains at the end of the first episode.
Gallivanting's a great word for it.
I know, right?
Because God knows they aren't a threat in this show.
Nope.
A Trolloc doesn't do anything in this show.
No, in the first episode they do kill a lot of people, and the Trollocs were really cool in the first episode. That fight was pretty awesome. I have to give it that.
Okay. I would agree.
That was the only action we saw. That was the only Trollocs we saw. Because after that...
Well, there's Trollocs in episode 8. I guess technically there's Trollocs in episode 6 when they're in the ways.
No.
Or was that episode 7? That was episode 7. Episode 6 was all politics all the time.
Yeah.
But they don't do anything except for the first episode where it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to get to in this whole bit, I keep going off on tangents to make bad jokes. All your issues with that scene, 100% explained in the books.
Of course it is. Every single time I complain about something, I'm like, yeah, this was explained in the books, which is why I need to go read the books, evidently, because the show didn't explain anything and it was full of plot holes that were really annoying. I think that was the thing, was that I'm pretty sure if I didn't care about plot holes, then I wouldn't have cared that much. But the fact that there were kind of so many, it was kind of getting annoying, and that's why we both ended up ranting more and more and more.
And it leads me into one of my big issues with the show, as a show, not as an adaptation. Little niggles or plot holes or whatever are a lot easier to ignore if what you're watching is engaging.
Yes.
And there was nothing about the show that engaged me.
Yes. There wasn't really... You had episodes, but they weren't really focused on anything. I think probably because you had a cast of 7 main characters. Moiraine obviously being the head main character, and Egwene being the second main character, and then Lan, and then Nynaeve, and then Perrin, Matt, and Rand. Rand was the least important.
Probably, yeah. Up until the end.
Well, I guessed he was important because he's ginger, and I've read Discworld. Discworld. Captain Carrot.
You're an
Hello.
You're an adopted orphan? You have a magical sword from your adopted father? Oh no, I've seen this before. I'm out.
All right, Rincewind, calm down.
Oh,
so I was joking at the start that he'd be important because he was ginger and good looking, and yep.
Huzzah!
But he wasn't important up to that point.
He didn't do anything. Perrin... He moped.
Perrin killed his wife and then... Spoilers. And then... Didn't do anything. Matt got a knife.
And then didn't do anything.
And then didn't do anything.
He maybe killed a family.
And then he was on a bed for a couple of episodes.
He also stole from a corpse.
He did.
So...
And he made friends with a guy in a bar.
He made friends with a guy in a bar.
Who saved
while stealing from a corpse.
Yeah.
So really, Matt did the most out of the 3 guys.
I honestly did like the acting for Matt, Perrin, and Rand when they were on screen. That's why they were my favourites. But they didn't do anything with them.
Yeah.
And then at the beginning of episode 3, it popped up with 1 month later.
Was that? No, that was episode 5.
That was episode 5?
That was episode 5.
Oh god, they all kind of merged together.
And the only reason is because you were saying how none of the episodes really ever did anything.
Yeah.
Episode 5 is the only one that kind of digs into a character and tells a fully contained story.
Yes.
But the problem is they do it for someone who's not part of your main ensemble.
Nope.
And then they kill him off at the end.
Well, so Lang could have sadness.
I don't care.
That's why he was like the 3rd main character.
He's the 3rd main character because he gets supporting cast role in 1 episode about a nobody. I mean, I don't want to be too harsh, but that's what happened there.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, that's true. From 5 onwards, it definitely became the Moiraine show.
Kind of started as the Moiraine show, even though she spent episode 2 and 3 unconscious.
But I mean, I started watching episode 6, and Moiraine was on the screen for 20 minutes out of the hour before any of the 5 main characters, the supposed...
Dragon Reborn.
Yeah, supposed Dragon Reborns popped up.
Yeah. Can I give you my other big fault about the show, as a show?
Yeah.
So, I would agree in that they turned it into the Moiraine show. But one of my big issues is that a lot of the marketing, and then the end of the first episode, the big stinger was, one of these 5 is the Dragon Reborn. That was a big thing. Who is the dragon?
Who is the dragon?
They tried to make it into a hashtag that didn't catch on and all that good stuff, because that's modern marketing. But at no time during the series do they explain in any way why we should care that one of them is the dragon.
Or what the dragon... Well, I guess the dragon is a magical the one type title.
Yeah.
But
that doesn't mean...
anything.
Shit.
No.
I mean, you get your intro that says that the dragon destroyed the world. One of them is the Dragon Reborn. Okay, great. But nobody in... it's not even... Nobody in the show cares about a dragon.
No.
When...
Except for that one dark friend who's like, one of you's the dragon. If I take you to the dark one, I'll get prizes.
Yes. But in the first episode, at the very end, when Moiraine turns around and goes, one of you is the dragon, she's not saying this confidentially. She's saying this in the middle of a crowded square. And nobody cares. This entire village just hears that possibly one of these kids is a dragon, and nobody cares. Nobody she just told it to cares. Rand and Matt walk into a bar and they find, this ex-rock and roller playing Sympathy for the Dragon.
Yeah, he does.
He's sitting there just going, man, the dragon had a hard life. Maybe we misjudged him. That's the purpose of his song. And everyone's just kind of listening, going,
oh,
yeah,
it's so sad.
maybe he's right. Maybe we did misjudge the dragon. Nobody gives a shit about what the dragon could be.
So the dragon was evil, and he tried to wield the power of darkness, but really he's not a bad guy, and everyone should be sad that he died.
He also destroyed the world.
He also destroyed the world, but I mean, he had a hard life.
Yeah.
Men will be men.
I mean, it's going to happen,
yeah.
Right? So that's my big issue, is that even if I wasn't a book reader, if I'm just watching the show, and you're telling me one of them's a dragon, and I'm going, so what? Who cares? You don't seem to care. Nobody in the show seems to care.
I guess we're, as the audience, are supposed to care because we are fans of fantasy. And as fans of fantasy, we have the one, capital T, capital O. I guess sci-fi as well, if you include Matrix in that. You have the one who is the one that will save the world, and that is what the dragon is.
Save the world from what? What's going on in the world that needs saving?
Moiraine says the dark one, and there's a bunch of trucks.
So, new Matrix just came out, right?
Yeah.
Let's go back to the original Matrix. Morpheus is looking for the one. I'm picking this one because of the language used. We start that one off immediately by having weird government agents body snatch people, dodge bullets, killing, hunting random people, just doing all sorts of weird shit. And when finally Neo wakes up, there's a desolated world full of mechanical squids going around killing people. So if you tell me that there's a one, there needs to be a one, because there's something for them to... The world's in danger and there's something to stand against. In this...
The world's not in danger, you're right.
What's going on? Why do we need a dragon reborn? Who cares?
The world has Trollocs now, and things are bad that people talk about.
I mean, the world always had Trollocs. That's why when they get up to the Borderlanders have a bunch of fortresses and seem pissed off all the time. Because they've been spending their entire lives fighting Trollocs.
I guess in the first episode they do say, I heard a rumor that there's a war, and then Rand's dad's like, war happens, it's not our problem, because we live in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they don't explain what the dragon is, except meta knowledge. We know the one is important. The dragon is important. But there's no threat against the world, even though the dragon is going to save the world.
The whole thing is like, oh, well, the dragon's going to stand against the Dark One. It's like, oh, okay, that sounds kind of cool. What's the Dark One doing? Well, he's sealed up. Well, how do we get him out? Is he getting out? Well, he'll get out if you break him out. Well, then why'd you come talk to me? If I didn't know, I would have never broke him out.
Yeah, just leave him there. That's true. They're just saying the Dark One's getting stronger. But we haven't seen him do anything. He doesn't do anything.
To go cage the Dark One is arrogance, so clearly that's not the right answer.
No, to cage the darkness is arrogance.
And the Dark One and darkness are separate.
I don't know. Actually, when I was typing out the script for that, they capitalized darkness. So I guess in the script, or if you were reading the subtitles, it would imply something important.
No. See, that's just like Japanese, where the subtitles show one kanji, but the characters speak a different word, so that you can get the dual meaning there.
Right.
It's the same thing, but in English.
Yeah, that didn't work.
It never works. It doesn't work in Japanese either. No. It's because of the lack of drive that leaves me...
Yeah, there's no motivation for the individual characters either.
Yeah, there's no individual motivation. There's no overarching motivation. And because of the lack of any of that, it leaves me as a viewer a lot of free time to pick on small points.
Yes.
Because that's what I was saying at the beginning of this little tangent here, is that you pick up on all these small points and plot holes and stupid inconsistencies because there's nothing else to engage you.
Yes. I mean, really, the focus of the show, like I said, it's the Moiraine show, and we were joking at first, but really it is, because everything is driven by Moiraine. She's the one that goes there. The series starts with her. She's the one that goes there, finds the kids. She's the one that is like, we need to get to the White Tower, and when they get to the White Tower, she's the one that's kind of pushing the kids to do the thing, as well as trying to deal with her political stuff. So really, that's the motivation. We know her motivation is to find the dragon and take them to the Dark One, which is clearly a good thing-ish, although I'm not too sure by the end of the show.
Well, episode 3 or 4, the Dark Friend wants to take the dragon to the Dark One.
Yeah.
So is that a good thing? Because that's what the Dark Friend wants to do.
So Moiraine is a Dark Friend?
I don't know.
Well, we know she isn't, but most of it's kind of following Moiraine and her motivations, and Perrin is sad that his wife is dead and that he killed her, but he just kind of goes along because he has nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Matt finds a knife which possesses him, and then he's kind of tripped out. So he doesn't have any motivation to do anything. He's off tripping on Dark Dagger.
The only motivation they give him is, I need to be there for my younger sisters because my parents are both shitheads.
Yes. I need to get back to the Two Rivers.
I need to get back to the Two Rivers. But he never does.
No, because he's stopped by the dagger, basically.
But why would the dagger care about that?
I mean, because he possesses the dagger, he's then going, "Ooh, I'm out of it all the time, and I'm angry."
But it comes back to the thing is, so they escape the Dead City, Shadar Logoth, whatever they call it in the show, and you've got essentially 2 pairs. You've got Matt and Rand, and you've got Perrin and Egwene at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And that part actually really made me laugh, because you have the Matt and Rand pair, and they're like, so what do we do now? And Rand's like, well, I'm going to the White Tower. And I was like, why would you do that? And he goes,
Rand says,
no, you do these.
I'm going back to the Two Rivers because that's where Egwene's going to go.
No, he says White Tower because that's where Egwene's going to go.
Okay.
And because I remember laughing about this, because they're like, so what do we do now? He goes, well, I'm going to go to the White Tower because that's where Egwene's going, and I have to be there for her to help her.
Right, yes.
And Matt's just kind of like, I guess I'll go with you, despite the fact that he has no motivation to go. Like, his whole motivation is, I need to get back to my sisters because I've left him with 2 shithead parents. But then we do a hard cut over to Perrin and Egwene, and Perrin's like, so where do you think the other 2 are going? And she just goes, well, obviously they're going back to the Two Rivers because they never cared. And Perrin's like, no, you're stupid. They're going to the White Tower. And she's like, well, how do you know that? He's like, because you're going to the White Tower, and Rand cares about nothing but you in this show. So, for Egwene to go to the White Tower because she's going to be a witch, great, good for her. Have your Hogwarts adventure. And for Rand to go to the White Tower because everything in this show about him is devolved to Egwene makes sense. But for the other 2 at that point, it's like, why? What are you doing?
I think Matt does try to convince Rand to go back to the Two Rivers, and Rand's like, no, I'm going to the tower, you can come with me or not. And he's like, fine.
Yeah.
And there was another thing that, yeah.
But it's what we were just saying. It's lack of individual motivation for characters.
Rand's motivation is Egwene. Egwene's motivation is herself. Nynaeve's motivation is everybody else. But then, actually,
and Lan.
Nynaeve is probably, then Lan. But I guess Nynaeve, when she is around, at least you can tell her drive is mostly, what about the others?
Yes, which I liked, because that is...
And also, fuck you, White Tower bitches.
Yes, which is always good.
Yeah.
Because everything the show's shown us is that they're horrible people.
Yeah.
All of them.
No, they're the good guys and they're saintly.
Yes.
And the opening.
Yes. Right, sorry. Yeah.
So, as a show, it was a little disappointing because we didn't really have a clear motivation for anybody, and we didn't really have a clear threat. Any threat that was possessed was gone. I don't know, we don't know where the Trollocs went. We don't know what happened to slithery snake dune worm guy.
The Fade.
That's what I said.
Yep.
The White Cloak.
White Cloak gets immediately neutered.
Well, he does a couple of... He murders a witch, and he's like, ha ha ha, I'm evil. And then he tortures 2 of the characters, and then the 2 characters he tortures goes, Marr! And he goes, ah, and runs away.
He gets stabbed inside, and then he passes out, and then they steal his loot and disappear.
Right.
Because Perrin's dogs are raiding the camp.
Oh, so they did stab him.
Egwene does, yeah.
Okay.
Which is just... I'll get into that when I talk about adaptation, but...
okay.
No, yeah, Perrin stands up, his eyes flash colors, he goes growl, and the guy goes, save me, the light, save me, and then Egwene goes, haha, and stabs him in the back, steals his rings, disappears.
Right. And, the fake dragon is like, haha, I'm all powerful, no, I'm not.
Yeah, they take care of him in one episode.
One episode?
They take care of him at the end of episode 4.
Oh, geez, okay.
Technically, you see him in the very last scene of episode 3. And then all of episode 4 is dealing with, oh, so this guy's the dragon. No, he's not. Nynaeve's so powerful.
So they have, and then the Dark One turns up in their dreams in episode 2 and then doesn't do anything after that.
He's a jump scare. He makes you barf up bats and he jump scares you.
Yeah. So we've got 5 threats, all of which don't drive anything and which are taken care of pretty quickly.
Yes.
Okay, so we have no threats, we have no individual motivation, we don't really have any focus on the main characters because Moiraine is the main character, and it was overall pretty disappointing as a show.
Yeah, I would agree with everything you just said.
Yeah, which is a shame because I really wanted to like it, which is why I forced you to watch it. And I'm sorry for forcing you to watch it because it seemed to cause you physical and emotional pain.
I mean, and I'm not even a diehard fan of this show.
Of the books.
Of the books, of the series, of the story, whatever.
Yeah.
I was given by a friend the first book in the late 90s.
When you were, what?
Small.
13?
Very small.
Baby Wes.
Very small.
Baby Wes got a book.
And I did what I did with all books at the time. I devoured it and caught up to the most current one immediately. Now, the problem at the time is that when you get to the middle of the series...
Which was the most current one at that time?
Winter's Heart.
Which number is that?
Book 9.
Okay.
So when I got to book 9, by the time you get there, the pacing slows a lot. Like before that, you've got a lot happening. There's a lot of balls in motion. And there's a lot of adventure and a lot of action. And there's, political intrigue and all sorts of things. But by the time you get to about book 9, there's a lot of viewpoints and everything slows down. And it's at taking you 2.5 years between books. Not to read, to be released. And when the book is released, it comes out in hardback.
Oh, yeah.
And you're a middle schooler who doesn't want to spend the money, or maybe it was high school, I don't remember. But you don't want to spend the money on a hardback.
Especially if all your books up to that point are paperback.
Especially if they're all paperback by that point.
Yeah, you need to match.
Especially if the last 2 haven't been exactly exciting. And so you wait for the paperback to come out, which might be 6 months to a year later. And then you read that and nothing happens in it again. So that was pretty much where I dropped the series. I went, maybe when it finishes, I'll catch up with it again. Then there was, of course, the issue with the author passing away. Then it got taken over by Brandon Sanderson. And he finished it off. But by this point, I am now 14, 15 years removed from the series. I have read a lot of other books in the median, and it was a fond childhood memory, and I just didn't care much anymore. I think I actually at one point went, the last book came out, and I looked up a couple wiki entries to see what happened to this character, and that was about the end of it for me. So I'm not one of the diehards, when I go online in some of these places, I see people go, I reread the series every year. I've listened to the audiobook of it 4 times. There are people who are really invested into this.
Yeah. Yeah, a YouTuber I follow has 5 different copies of the whole series.
Yeah. Well, one of Amazon's masterclass strokes here was that they bought out all the YouTubers and invited them to the premiere and gave them backstage access and all that garbage. So you're not going to find a lot of them talking about things. Well,
you're going to find them talking about the show, but not critiquing it.
Yeah. They'll call it a critique, and then they'll just sit there and
say how good it was.
Give it a reach around the whole time.
Wave away the flaws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I guess what I'm getting to is that's my background with the books.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoyed them for what they were. Didn't care enough to finish them.
But because of the series, you did reread the first one.
But because of the series, I did reread the first one, and I had a lot of fun doing that again.
And now I need to read it too.
I mean, if you want to. I find it really enjoyable. But I think that it's also the perfect example of a quote that Terry Pratchett once said. And I'm going to misquote this. But he said once that J.R.R. Tolkien was essentially the Mount Fuji of Western fantasy literature. In that it's like when you look at Japanese art and you'll either see Mount Fuji big and up close, or you'll see it far off in the distance. And then sometimes you won't see it at all. And that means that either the author has consciously decided not to include Mount Fuji, or that they're standing on it. And I think that's you can't read, especially the first couple books, without thinking of Tolkien. There's a lot of people who say, oh, book one is just his version of Fellowship of the Ring. And definitely to some extent that's true. But, I mean, it has inspired this passion and this love in so many people. So it just feels so weird to me that when you're adapting it, you purposely go off to change so much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we've ripped into it as a TV show. I would say as an adaptation, it's even worse.
I think that's why it was causing you physical pain. Just to watch it.
And it was because for all the changes they made, they didn't do anything that gripped me. You know, it was everything I was saying about plot holes earlier. If you want to change something, but it's for the better of the story, and the story is so engaging that you're like, okay, yeah, I'll roll with it. I mean, to draw back to that Lord of the Rings I was just harping on about. Fellowship of the Ring. Very beginning of the book, Frodo gets stabbed by a cursed dagger and passes out. Hey, that sounds like the TV show. None of that happened in the book for Eye of the World, but that sounds like the TV show for Wheel of Time. So they put in more Lord of the Rings references, I guess. But anyway, what I'm getting to is, in the movie, they have to get him to Rivendell because it's a cursed blade. And Arwen, the female elf, picks him up and runs.
Turns up.
She turns up, gets him on his horse,
crap.
she outruns the Nazgul, gets across the Sacred River, they get him into Rivendell, spells, all that good stuff. In the book, it's not Arwen.
Oh, right, it isn't?
In the book, it's a different elf.
It's been a very long time since I read it.
Totally fine. In the book, it's an elf called Glorfindel. And there were people who were upset or annoyed that, hey, they changed it. Why are they putting Arwen in here? I like Glorfindel as a character and all this. That's the kind of move, though, that you have to make in an adaptation. Mm-hmm. Because you're not dealing with, whatever it is, 400,000 words. Yeah. You're dealing with a small chunk of time.
And for that, I guess they couldn't really introduce a second character just for that one tiny scene.
And it also allows you to introduce Arwen a lot earlier, which builds up the romance between her and Aragorn, which then makes more sense later when you see her so troubled about traveling to the Western lands, and when you see him so adamant about turning down Eowyn's advances in Rohan, or Rohan, whatever it is. So, you know, they made a change, but they did so to further the storyline in an important way, and to whittle down on the characters that you're focusing on. I can't think of any change they made in this TV series that I would ascribe those same motivations to. None of it makes sense to me. Like, none of the changes that they made, I can see any reason for making those changes. We were just talking about the gateway right before we started recording this.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of going, this just doesn't make sense.
Like they left Matt on the other side.
Well, I mean, beyond that, even just the fact that they have Moiraine open it using the power.
Yeah.
Because it sets up a bunch of weird questions, like how does Padan Fain get in? How did the Trollocs get in when they made their way to the Two Rivers? You know, all these different... There's a lot of weird questions where you're going, Trollocs can't channel, Fades can't channel, Padan Fain can't channel.
Well, I assume, as somebody who's never read the books and is only watching the series and none of it's been explained, I'm assuming the Dark One has evil men channelers on his side and they're the ones that open it.
I guess. I mean, that's the assumption you have to make. But
is the assumption.
In the book, part of the whole reason that the Ogier Loial comes along on this whole thing, he knows how to open the gateways. He knows how to get through the gateways. You don't need a channel to do it. And in the scene where she's opening it, the Ogier's standing right there. So why make that change when you can use what's originally in the book? Because now you're just introducing more questions that don't need to be asked, whereas you could just do it the original way, and it stays more faithful in an adaptation in a way that doesn't matter. And, you know, and people will be like, well, if it doesn't matter, why do you care that it's changed? And my response is, well, if it doesn't matter, why did they change it? If you're not changing it for a purpose, leave it the way it is. It's an adaptation. It's not your original fiction.
I guess the biggest change which they made was the dragon could be male or female.
That...
And they need to find them.
Due to modern sensibilities, I can see why they would do that. And I don't want to get too much into that bogeyman, because that'll stir the Dark One out of their corner of the internet. So, but due to modern sensibilities, I can see why you can't just say it has to be a guy. Now, from the perspective of a book reader, it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. just because if the dragon reborn is female,
then they won't be tempted by the darkness.
Because, well, I mean, they might be. Female. The first dark friend we meet is female.
Yeah, but she also wasn't a channeler.
Yeah, but it just, like, the whole reason that they're so worried about the dragon in the first place was because he went mad and broke the world. And the men go mad when they channel. And so if you have a woman who won't go mad, that's a whole problem. That's a threat gone right there, right?
Yeah.
So storyline-wise, that's a whole thing. But modern climate-wise, I can see why you'd make that change. And it doesn't honestly matter that much so long as you still build up the mystery and the meaning of what it means to be a dragon.
But they don't explain what it means to be a dragon.
They don't at all. And that, I think, I mean, I could sit here and just pick on a lot of things, but essentially it just is they're making changes for the sake of making changes. And they don't seem to care about whether or not those changes strengthen the final product.
I wonder if maybe they started making changes, but then they had to make more changes to fill in holes. Or I think I also heard that they had issues, like back behind the scenes issues, which also resulted in changes being made. But I don't know any of the details. But it is not knowing anything behind the scenes, and as just a viewer, and yourself a book reader, it did seem annoying that they would seem to change everything every 5 seconds.
Even things that don't matter. Like,
one of the things that stood out to me was when Rand was in the bookshop, and that's when they meet the ogre.
Yeah.
Actually, 2 things. Oh, sorry, Ogier.
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 Oh
dear. So they meet the oh dear. And Rand goes, oh no, pulls out his sword. One, why is he in a bookshop? They didn't explain that.
Now, in his defense, the first thing you and I do whenever we visit a new city is go to a bookshop.
Yes, but he's also from the middle of bumfuck nowhere.
Yes.
Where they don't have books. Apparently they do, because...
They have a very few books.
They have a few books. So he's like, oh my goodness, an ogre, and he's Ogier. And the Ogier is like, oh, I'm tired of swords being pointed at me because I got chased down the street the other day. And you're like, what is he doing here? Why would he get chased down the street in this city? Because it's supposed to be, like, multicultural.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be safe for Ogiers.
Yes.
And all the Aes Sedai seem to respect him, so it's weird that he would be chased down the street in a city that's actually safe for him.
Yes.
And then Rand picks up a book, he's already been looking at the book, and the Ogier goes, oh, I see you know this work. And he's like, yes, it's Egwene's favourite book. And you were like, no.
I mean, that's going back to the Egwene is Poochie thing.
Egwene is Poochie. Everything has to be about Egwene.
Because, Rand can't have a favourite book.
No, because that's what you told me. You were like, oh yeah, that's actually supposed to be Rand's favourite book. And I was like, no, poor Rand.
Yeah, give it a couple books and he gets a new horse and he names his horse after a character in the book.
Oh no!
Anyway.
Oh, don't worry. In the TV show, he's going to call his horse Egwene.
Oh, gee. He probably doesn't need to. He's riding her enough. But that's one of the other issues, though, that I have with it, is that they're making changes that don't need to be changed, and then it feels like occasionally they throw the book readers a bone by saying, oh, but we put in this bit from the book.
Yeah.
But they don't seem to care about whether or not the bit they've put in makes sense in the new context.
Yes.
And so...
It constantly contradicts itself.
Yeah, or like the whole issue with Loyal the Ogier right there. It's like, dude, you're in Tar Valon. People aren't... Number one... Due to whatever budget constraints there were, you don't look like Ogiers look like in the books. And so no one's confusing you for a Trolloc. Because that's why they're chasing down the street in the books, is they go, oh no, it's a Trolloc. He's gotten to the city. And this is a much different city. And this is a city where there's a bunch of random shit going on. And there's white cloak agitators trying to stir up a coup against the queen. So it's a much different political climate in the city where he gets chased down the street compared to Tar Valon, which is Ogier built. I think at this time in the books, there are actually a team of Ogiers there repairing the city. There's an Ogier grove within the walls of the city. As they mentioned in the show, Ogier have free access to the White Tower whenever they want to wander in, but other people can't. So, dude, you're not getting chased down the street in Tar Valon. I'm sorry. Especially when, in the show, you don't stand out.
No.
Like, if I was walking down the street here in Japan, I probably wouldn't see a guy like that unless I was down in, I don't know, Dotonbori or somewhere. But even still, the only reason I'd double take is it'd be a ginger afro. I haven't seen one of those. That would be like the only thing to get me to do a double take about the guy. He's not particularly tall. He doesn't look particularly different.
I saw the one the other day when we were in Shinsekai.
There we go.
And there was that drunk guy walking down the street with the little fluffy dog.
Yep.
He
So,
had a ginger afro.
like, the way that you look in the show, you don't stand out. The scene is pointless except for to be to the wink, wink, nod, nod to the book readers saying, hey, you remember this? And it's like, but it doesn't fit here.
Yeah.
And they keep doing little bits like that throughout the show, even sometimes just dropping random terminology.
That they don't explain.
Or when Rand's dad first pulls out the sword, it does a very dramatic zoom in on the heron on the blade.
Yeah. At the end of the episode, I didn't realize he had it with him.
Well, not even that he had it with him, but they never bothered to explain anything about what that sword might mean throughout the entire 8 episodes. Just...
It's sword.
It's the sword, you know.
Well, I knew again from being a fan of fantasy and being a fan of TV shows that, this is important. This is telling me this is important. I mean, and then they don't do anything with it. I don't see Rand with it. You don't see him taking it out of the city.
He pulls it out on the Ogier in the city.
Yeah, but you don't... I didn't realize that was that sword because you don't see the crest.
Yeah.
They haven't pointed it out, and it's only until the very last episode that they're like, this is important.
And so that's another issue, is that they've taken what is character development. Like, the sword means a lot to Rand because of issues. And they've just turned it in the books. But they've turned it into just a Chekhov's gun. They show it to you very clearly at the beginning. And so then you sit there going, that sword's going to be an issue. That sword's going to be a big deal. And essentially, as a viewer, you're just sitting there waiting for it to go off.
Yes.
You don't... It has no other purpose at this point until finally at some point goes, aha, I know that sword. And in this case, they use it as the flashback to Rand's dad finding his mom on the mountain. They show the sword and they go, that's the same sword he had. This baby must be Rand. But they've already told you that like 3 times before that happens. So the sword doesn't matter because everyone else has already told you the baby's Rand, by the way. And you're like, the sword, that's his dad. It's like, yeah, no shit. How else would he have gotten him in the 2 rivers? Babies don't travel.
I mean,
it's not what they do.
They do with their parents.
With someone.
Or kidnappers.
But so you get all these issues, and then at some point it just feels like they're using them to almost undermine the characters. So,
like this is Egwene's favorite book.
They have Lan and Nynaeve sleep together. And then I looked this bit up. I heard something about it and I looked it up because I didn't actually end up watching the final episodes, except for when you were like, hey, can you watch this and tell me if this makes sense? I'm like, no, it doesn't make sense. And then I'd watch it. But so after they sleep together, they have Lan and Nynaeve talking. And he gives her this really heartfelt speech about how they can't be together.
They just were, but okay.
No, but the speech that he gives is like word for word a scene from the books.
Oh. Okay.
Now, in the scene from the books, they haven't just slept together. And it's from the point of view of Rand, who happens to overhear what's going on, realizes he's listening to something that he shouldn't be hearing, and pushes it out of his mind, except for the fact that he doesn't push it out of his mind. He learns entirely the wrong lesson from it, and this causes him... This is just one part of a series of issues that causes massive issues later in the series. But in the show, they're like, this is a really touching moment for Lan and Nynaeve. We're going to have him say it to it. And it essentially turns Lan into your every average day, frat house fuckboy who goes, hey, I just smashed, but here's some sweet poetry. Sorry we can't be together. Like,
peace.
Yeah. Wow. It's like, what the fuck? You've taken what was supposed to be a touching moment and a big part of character development for another character, and you've turned it into, you've flipped it on its head. You've made Lan into a piece of shit who's just like, yo, I'll smash, but we can't have anything more than that. No relationship here. Don't try to shackle me down. Freewheeling samurai sword dude here. And it's like, what are you doing to these characters? I mean, ignoring the fact that most of the characters have nowhere to go character development-wise because you've stolen them from 5 books in the future and plopped them into book 1, just being like, oh yeah, this is when they were cool, so we're going to put them here and not give you any of the growth that they go through. It's just... I don't know, it's just so bad. It's just so stupid. I mean, you were talking about how you liked some bits with Perrin.
Yeah, some bits.
I
think he was a good actor.
But, like, again, there's no...
But he doesn't have... As we've already said, he doesn't have any motivation in the show.
He has no motivation, and he does...
Actually, if anything, he has horrible, severe depression and PTSD from murdering his wife, and he really needs therapy, but instead is just keeping it all bottled up inside, and it seems to me that he would rather just sleep his days away and never do anything.
Yeah. That's a fun character to watch, though, right?
Well, I mean, I liked him at the beginning.
That makes you invested in the story, right?
What story?
Exactly. And then when you get to what is in the books, one of, like, essentially his catalyst, his call to adventure, the thing that really kind of starts to set everything off, they take it from him and they give it to Egwene as well.
Wait, really?
Yes.
Ouch.
One of Perrin's, like, not much, somewhat in book one, but mostly one of the big things that he has to deal with is the repercussions of violence. That's Perrin's big thing. And part of that stems from him killing 3 White Cloaks.
Or in the TV series, his wife.
Yeah. But no one knows he killed his wife.
No,
the White Cloaks know he killed 3 White Cloaks. And they want their pound of flesh.
Oh, okay.
So
he doesn't even kill one White Cloak.
No, because when he gets in a position to do so,
Egwene stabs him.
Egwene steals
Egwene stabs in the guy. Oh, shoot.
And so if you want to change things around storyline-wise, like the character that they end up stabbing is very important later in the series. But if you want to change things around, that's fine. Because I'm talking about adaptations, right? This is you're putting Arwen into an earlier scene. You have Perrin, he's having some weird wolf power. They never really explain what that is, but it doesn't matter. You have Perrin break free of the bonds with Egwene's help, give her a bit to do in the scene. That's fine. And then have Perrin just somehow maul the guy. Leave him alive still, but he's mauled and he's disfigured and he's pissed off. Let him
which would then explain why he was like, oh wait, no, I guess because we don't really want him to be. Oh no, because
I don't want him to be scared anyway. Like he should see Perrin break free, and he's holding a knife. He should try to fight back, and Perrin should just maul him. Like because it's giving into an angrier side when he's been showing all this pacifism lectures from the Tinkers anyway, traveling people, whatever they call them in the show. So you're setting up this dichotomy between peace and anger. You're setting it up that when you give in to anger, bad things happen. You kill your wife, you maul a White Cloak, and this is a very important White Cloak who will then try to track you down specifically because you mauled him.
And but also it doesn't neuter your threat.
It doesn't neuter your threat because he's actually fought back.
Instead of going, ah!
So you can do a lot more with these characters, but now... who gives a shit? He's after Egwene, but he thinks Egwene's an Aes Sedai, and he's a White Cloak, so they're after Aes Sedai anyway. You haven't changed anything about the status quo. You haven't made me give a shit, and all you've done is neuter your villain by having him act scared that some dude broke free of a rope. I mean, like, it's where does Perrin go from this? What are you doing with him? If you want to skip his whole... back and forth debacle with the White Cloaks, okay, fine, but what is he going to do instead? And if the answer is he's going to mope around and do fuck all, that's not engaging television.
No.
Hopefully that rant made sense.
Well, it made more sense than the rant in the show. But boom. I also heard that they recast one of the characters, but I forget who.
Barney's out. Barney played Matt.
Oh,
so the best actor of the three guys is out.
Probably because he didn't do anything in the show.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, for whatever reasons, he's out and we're not going to watch season 2. Might read the books. Might read the first 3 books. Because you said the 3rd book ends on a pretty good note.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, it's a fantasy book, so it also kind of launches... It's not a cliffhanger, but it does kind of...
It's a conclusion that you can bounce off into another plot.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
And book 2 is really fun.
Okay.
I say that, though. I mean, we're talking about adaptations. If I were to be the showrunner for this, just as my final bombshell, I would probably cut book 2 from the TV series. Just because for your main character at that point, his big emotional struggle in book 2 is the exact same emotional struggle he has in book 3. And thankfully, Robert Jordan, the author, realized that and actually cut the main character for most of book 3. But you can't cut a main character for most of a season of television.
Well,
so
wait, you mean we can't cut Moiraine from season 2?
Main character in the books.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, yeah. They didn't pour their budget into one character in the book, so they didn't have to focus entirely on that actress.
Ouch.
I will say this. Because of things like that, it gives me a deeper respect when you watch a movie with a big name actor who doesn't take over.
Yes.
So like in Hot Fuzz, the most famous actor in Hot Fuzz is Timothy Dalton. Mm-hmm. And he steals every scene he's in, but he doesn't take over the movie.
No. Dune was a fantastic adaptation with a lot of very big name actors who were not the main characters.
They let Timothy Chalamet be the main character because that's what Paul is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for listening.
I mean,
to the end.
If you like the show,
and you managed to survive this long,
and you listen to us rant about it. If you like the show and you haven't read the book, I would really, really suggest reading the book because I find that it tells the story in a much more satisfying way. But I also don't want to I'm not saying that you are wrong for liking the show. Don't take this in any way as me trying to say, like, you have a bad opinion.
This was us not liking the show.
This was us looking at it critically from our background and our point of view. Mm. So I never want to come into these to just shit on things.
Yeah.
It's not what I'm here for. But I do hope personally to learn lessons about what I don't like to apply to things that I might create in the future. Mm-hmm. So that's just a final note.
That was a good final note.
But that said, if you think I'm wrong, go ahead and leave a comment below. If you think Jen's wrong, leave a comment on Twitter.
No, not on Twitter. My boss follows me on Twitter.
Leave Jen's comments on the website and my comments on Twitter.
No one knows what your Twitter is.
No, I mean just below the show listing.
Oh, okay.
Don't tag me in it. Gross.
Oh, Kenny's going to tag you in.
Ah, gross. Kenny's the worst.
Kenny's the worst.
No, but yeah, I mean...
But yeah, no.
We had a lot to say, but we're obviously not in any way infallible. So if you have an opinion that you think challenges us or agrees with us or anything, we'd love to hear it, just because it's always fun to get a new way to look at something.
And that's why we do this, because we like having discussions about things.
Yes.
But yes.
You can find us on Twitter at AnnieBrosCreative.
Or
at our website www.anniebroscreative.com.
Oh, you don't need the www anymore. I was Jen.
I was Wesley.
Bye.